Hi everyone, welcome to Make Moments Matter, a music education podcast, where I share lesson ideas, songs, games, and inspiring things for your elementary music classroom. My name is David Rao, and I am the music teacher who blogs at makemomentsmatter.org. This episode of the podcast is a replay containing the audio version of a Musical Mondays live video. If you're not familiar with Musical Mondays, every Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, I go live on Facebook and Instagram to share about the lessons that I'm using in class with my students. I give a recap of my kindergarten through 5th grade lessons, and then do a deep dive about one grade level and share the books, instruments, songs, and process that I use to teach the lesson to kids. This podcast episode contains all the audio from the Musical Mondays video, but if you'd like to see a replay of the video itself, you can find a link to the archived video on YouTube when you click the link in the notes for this episode. Thanks so much for tuning in. Here's the show. Hey everyone, my name is David Rao, and I'm the music teacher who blogs at makemomentsmatter.org. You can also find my ideas on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, a variety of places when you search for my name, David Rao, or Make Moments Matter. So, this is a sort of an odd place for me to be on a Monday night because usually I'm in my home office and I'm recording a video at home live, but this has been kind of a weird week and it's going to continue to be kind of a weird week. So, I am pre-taping this, oh my gosh, what? Actually at school. So, I'm here to share a lesson that I'm doing with my 4th grade, something I think you could do a 3rd, 4th, or 5th grade if you wanted. It's a unique song, one that I wasn't really aware of until the last, several years. It's kind of odd because it's a song in re pentatonic, and we'll get to that in just a second. But if you have any questions or thoughts, ideas about the things that happen in this video, you can also always find on my blog, makemomentsmatter.org, on the video tab, you can find, I call it the links page. It's the place where I keep all the links to all the resources and videos and books and stuff that I talk about in these videos. So you can find that on my blog, makemomentsmatter.org, under the video tab, or just wherever you're watching or listening to this, there should be a link in the description where it take you straight there. Okay. Oh, and one more thing before I get into this lesson. So I am going to be in San Antonio next week for Texas Music Educators. I'm so excited to be back at TMEA. I hope that you will come up and say hi and tell me the best place to get Mexican food where I can find something, or what's the best Whataburger in town. I don't know. Just help me find all the stuff. Where can I get coffee in the morning? Please find me if you're there at TMEA, and let's connect. Because it's fun for me to meet people who watch these videos or listen to this podcast, just because I stand here talking to my phone. So it's nice, oh my gosh, a real person actually listened to this. So come say hi if you see me at TMEA. It was great being with my friends in Illinois the last weekend. For Illinois Music Educators, so I'm excited for next week, the week of Valentine's Day at TME. Okay, so the song I'm going to teach is this one called Old Betty Larkin. Now, it is sort of an odd song for a number of reasons. The first one being that it's in re pentatonic. So oftentimes we will do songs that are in a pentatonic scale, right? So usually for orthocodai people, that means that it only uses 5 pitches, meaning pentatonic, right? And so it uses the 5 pitches, almost always do, re, mi, so, and la. Like when we say pentatonic in Orff and Kodai land or elemental music world, we mean do, re, mi, so, and la, right? Taking out fa, taking out ti, taking out the 4th and the 7th step of the scale. It removes half steps. It takes away dissonance. And pentatonic scales have been all over in music around the globe for a very, very, very long time. Most often, your home tone, like the place that you start and end on and live on the most, is going to be do. And most often used as a dominant is so, almost always, but not always. In level 2 Orff we get to start playing with what we call the pentatonic modes, which is where you can be in pentatonic, where you have only on your instrument or only in your toolkit do, re, mi, so, and la. But you can do where do is your home tone, where you always go back to, your resting tone. You can do where re is your home tone, where mi is your home tone, your so is your home tone. And this song is one from our folk music repertoire that happens to be re pentatonic, which sounds a little weird to kids' ears, but they pick it up pretty easily. I think the first time I taught it, I was worried that they wouldn't, and I made a bigger deal out of it than I needed to. And I was really worried they weren't going to get it, and they mostly did. It took a little repetition, but For the most part, they got it. So when I teach this song, my kids are sort of scattered out here through the room. I have the words up on the screen, and usually I am at the piano. So let me jump over to the piano. And normally, well, let me sing through just the first verse, because even for kids, I would probably do this. So the song goes, hop around, skip around, old Betty Larkin. Hop around, skip around, old Betty Larkin. Hop around, skip around, old Betty Larkin. Also, my dear darling. So with my students, even though they're older students, I would probably teach this by rote. I would teach it phrase by phrase. Hop around, skip around, old Betty Larkin. Hop around, skip around, old Betty Larkin. Hop around, skip around, old Betty Larkin. Also, my dear darling. So there are a couple places where it sounds kind of odd. What helps reinforce the tonality and helps them think re pentatonic is I'm playing re and la as like an open fifth, as a drone, as a bourdon, right? Whereas if we were in, well, I'm actually playing where C is re. That would mean do would be B flat, so you'd have do, re, mi, so, la, but I'm actually doing re, mi, so, la, do. So it sounds a little weird to kids at first, but I just teach it phrase by phrase. And I write it all out like this, and I go, you know what? This is kind of confused. Oh, I hope you can see that. I say, like, you know what? This is kind of confusing, though, because it has all of these words over and over. And really, I think I can consolidate that because this line and this line and this line, they're the same text. They're different melodies, but they're the same text. Let me rewrite it. So now it just says 3 times with these words and then the ending. Okay. So if I do that again, let me sing, hop around, skip around, old Betty Larkin. Hop around, skip around, old Betty Larkin. Hop around, skip around, old Betty Larkin. Also, my dear darling. Now, those aren't the only words. Those are the first words. And so the next words go like this. They go, needle in a haystack, old Betty Larkin. Needle in a haystack, old Betty Larkin. Needle in a haystack, old Betty Larkin. Also, my dear darling. Okay, pretty easy. And so we've got the first words, which are hop around, skip around. Then we have needle in a haystack. And the last set of words go, steal, steal, old Betty Larkin. Steal, steal, old Betty Larkin. Steal, steal, old Betty Larkin. Also, my dear darling. So you've got your 3 verses. Normally when I'm teaching this to kids, I'm at the piano. I'm teaching them. I'm doing it phrase by phrase. I make sure they get it. When we do like a new verse, I might do it phrase by phrase. It depends on how fast they're picking it up. Or I might just go, sorry, I want to make sure my mic was on. I might just go, okay, let's try it with the new words. Because if it's especially the third verse, if it's steal, steal, by then hopefully they've gotten enough repetition they can handle the change in the new words. And then when it's time to put it all together, I put a slide like this where it has first verse, hop around, skip around. Second one is needle in a haystack. Third is steal, steal. And also, my dear darling. I took out old Betty Larkin, but that's the name of the song. So if they don't get that, we're really in trouble. So we learn the song. We learn all 3 verses. We just learn how to sing it. I'm over here at the piano for the most part, giving that harmonic stability, giving them the foundation. But you could do it without. It just depends on how quickly they would get that tonality. It's kind of an odd tonality, especially if you spend most of your time in do pentatonic or if you don't play around with the modes that often. It can kind of throw some kids. So that's why I like to teach it at the piano. But totally up to you. But then there's a game. So this is one that for me works really well if you don't have the correct number of students, if you have an odd number. So I pair off students or I let them pair off or whatever. And the first verse, I have these black dots on the floor that make a big circle, and they get to link arms with their partner and skip around the circle. And that's what they're doing. Hop around, skip around, old Betty Larkin. They're going around this big black circle. If there is somebody who's out, if you have an odd number, that's actually good. That kid gets to be Betty Larkin or Billy Larkin or whatever, if you want to say a different name. And they're in the middle of the circle. And if we're going this way, then they're going this way. They're going to go the opposite direction. And if we're skipping, then that means they have to hop. So we skip around in a circle and they hop the other direction. Okay, that's pretty simple for the first verse. We skip, they hop. Then, okay, I don't know if you can see these black dots on the floor, all the different black dots. But then for the second verse, I say for needle in a haystack, kids get to stand on each one of these black dots, and whoever is Betty Larkin gets to weave in and through all the kids. It is hilarious. It works kind of. It reminds me of the Westminster Dog Show when it's like the dogs doing the racing and they like go like in the between like the agility poles or whatever. It's hilarious every time. But the first verse is couples are skip or duets are skipping, and then the soloist is hopping the other direction. Then for Needle and Haystack, the everyone stops, but the Betty or the Billy gets to weave in between all the people, and then my favorite for Steal, you find your partner, you link up with your partner, right, wherever you are, you link up with your partner, and then whoever is Betty or Billy Larkin, they get to steal. So that means like if I'm Betty or Billy or whatever, I would come up to a set of two, and I would link up on one side, and whoever I link up to, the kid on the other side is out, and they have to go in the middle. So there are all these duets stand on the edge, and whoever's Betty or Billy, whoever's the odd person out, goes and steals someone, and whoever their partner was, whoever they stole, the partner, the other person is now in the middle, and they become a Betty or a Billy. What makes it even more fun is I let kids continue to keep stealing until we're done with the verse. So like if my partner gets stolen from me, I can come over here and steal from another person. I can steal from another person, and we can keep stealing until also my dear darling. And then all the couples turn and they move, and we restart the whole thing. And if you're still stuck in the middle, then you're Betty or Billy for the next round. It goes on continuously. It is hilarious to watch. Kids, most of the time, really like it. It does take a little bit of effort, but it's one that I think that older kids can handle pretty well because it's more intricate and it's more fun. Like the music is kind of tricky. It feels more interesting to them. Plus, also the game is kind of fun and tricky, and they're able to do it for the most part. So it's one that's definitely worth trying. I'm going to link to where the notation would be. I'm going to link to that so that you can have it. I'll try and find it. I'm pretty sure I have it in my levels notes. So if nowhere else, I could print out my notation, I guess, but I think I can find it online. I'll also look for recordings of videos because sometimes it's helpful instead of like seeing me do it by myself in this big empty room. It might be helpful to see students or adults doing it. But like when you go looking for folk song or folk dance examples, it's never exactly the way that the book shows. It's always some sort of variation. So I'm sure I'll find something. It will not be exactly the same, but I'll do my best to find that and pair it with this video. Okay, this one was short, but it's kind of a weird week, so I hope that's okay. And I hope I'll see you all next week for another Musical Mondays video. Thanks so much for coming along with me, everyone. Have a great night.